Hello, everyone. Welcome to Media Crash episode 15. On this episode, we are going to be talking about the pirate genre. My name is Holden, otherwise known as Time to Grind.
My name is Daniel, otherwise known as Time to Not Stutter Daniel.
That's not your username. My name is Matthew, also known as Sutter. That's all. I do have stuff. So, piracy was a thing that's been around for like all time.
Oh, yeah, decent amount of time.
As long as people are able to rob people, then the whole point of piracy is you should do that on a boat. But it's weird because there's the genre people think of piracy and just pirates in general comes from a specific point in time in a specific area. Mm-hmm. Well, not necessarily a specific area.
Because it's like, when you think of pirates, you don't think of like machine guns and rocket launchers. You think of like, blunderbusses and like cutlasses.
400 years from now, there's going to be a romanticized version of like Somalian pirates.
Like using like sonar and like stuff like that.
I think one of the things, in my opinion, one of the reasons why people don't care about the others is like pirates at that point were like somewhat of a threat. Like apparently Blackbeard like besieged like a city, if I remember right. Didn't he like?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, for like medicine or something. Like a pirate could do that back then. And then like the military was technically more superior than them individually, but like when you're on the ocean, you can't really find them. And
yeah, it's like you have to actually like track them and find them and stuff like that.
But realistically, a lot of them died. Like I think only one made it out alive and buried his treasure, and then that's what everyone else
Is that Captain
faces.
Kidd?
I don't know. I think it was. I don't remember the name. I used to know a lot of them, but yeah, Blackbeard got gibbed. Henry Avery, I think, died. I don't know many of the other ones, but maybe it was Henry Avery that was the one that made it out. Because I always see videos of the real king of the pirates, but
Monkey D. Lufty.
no, we'll get to that. But there are. It's interesting because there are like other points in history where there were piracy and there were like famous pirates. There's a couple famous Chinese ones. One had like a fleet, basically, if I remember.
Dang.
Yeah.
If I remember. And then there was the Barbary Wars, which was technically the first time the U.S. like intervened. It was right when they became a nation, and no one else was like stopping their ships from being attacked by these pirates, by Moroccan pirates, and so they just stepped in and did it themselves. And it was like the first time they went and did like intervention.
Yeah, but so it's like even though that there's all these different types of like there's pirates like right now, like you were saying, but pretty much every like pirate movie or video game is focused on like back in the day that one specific
fun pirates.
Yeah, the good old jolly parrot having.
Yeah, and like it's probably because a lot of them are boring. They're literally just bandits at the sea. Like Somali pirates, like we were saying, may be famous later on, and in a way they might. But like when you see them. Like sometimes they'll be on this little speedboat and they come up and you see these armed guards just go, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
But like pirates are scary. Like when they had their own set of cannons they can blast you with.
Oh yeah.
And then
and it's just like it's that whole fantasy aspect of like burying the treasure and looking through treasure maps and going from island to island and.
You underestimate the people. I don't think realize that the other half of what makes the pirate genre cool isn't just the pirate stuff. It's also they're in a new area, and it's new to both them and like whatever empire analog. If it's fantasy, there should be a set of there should be an idea of exploration and old ruins and all that stuff.
That's a good really point. Cool. So, like, just off the top of my head, I think that the number one pirate thing that's fresh in my mind is Sea of Thieves, that video game. I don't know if you've had a chance to try it out.
I have not.
But I recently got it because I think it had like its 2-year anniversary. It came out on Steam, and for the first 2 years, when it first came out, I heard there wasn't much to do or whatever. But so I picked it up on Steam, and I was playing with Matthew and our friend Anna and my girlfriend Caitlin, and wow, that is like the exact pirate game I would want just ever. I mean, it's literally like, it's so casual fun. Like, there's so many different things to do. You're doing stereotypical things like following treasure maps to go onto islands and digging up treasure and killing skeleton kings. And there's like these whole long adventures if you want those. And, obviously fighting other ships. And like, it just creates so many like stories. Cause I remember there was at one point, it was me, Matthew, Anna, and Caitlin. and we saw these two smaller ships fighting in the distant, and we were like, okay, we're gonna just like go and we're gonna like wipe both of them out and steal all their stuff. But they kind of like teamed up on us, and like at one point they had both like grappled onto the back of us, and they were just shooting us, and we were sinking. So like I go and I just like I lower the anchor, and like they both crash into us, and we're a big boat, so it hurts them a lot more than it does us, and we all just start freaking out, and then we all call a truce because you can actually hear each other. But like right before we called a truce, I think Anna jumped on their ship and
I took
stole
some of their
treasure.
shit and
Yeah.
took the other boat's stuff. And
Yeah.
they're like, call a truce. We're like,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think they knew we had stolen their stuff, and so we just like called the truce and we had all their treasure. But you know, it's like everyone that plays that game has like their own unique pirate moments that aren't scripted, you know. And so Sea of Thieves, I think, for anyone that's like a fan of the pirate genre, I would definitely recommend checking that game out because
I agree with the pirate moment stuff, and that's what I love about that game. My pirate moment was when we got attacked twice in a row by the Megalodon. It was two different. One attacked us, and immediately after, the other one spawned. And yeah,
yeah. So Sea of Thieves is a pretty fun like open-ended, you know, video game. I feel like most of the pirate things, like I've seen like the Pirates of the Pirates of the
Caribbean.
Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like those are good movies, but I've only seen.
There really
First
isn't
one, I think.
too for such a big genre when you think about like how many people like pirates and know about it. There's not too many known
Sound
ones.
like a lot of
And Pirates
good
of the-
movies.
Everyone thinks of Pirates of the Caribbean, but that only came out like in the early 2000s. Like
The first one came out in the early 2000s?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
I guess that makes
More
sense.
like modern.
Like there's probably some older ones like Treasure Island is a big one, Peter Pan, but that was like he was a character. But yeah, not too much.
Have you guys ever been on the Pirates of the Caribbean? I don't know if you guys have been to Disney World, but they have like a Pirates of the Caribbean like ride.
Which the movies were inspired of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
So they had a ride before the movies?
yeah, that's why you don't really see anything. And they might have put Jack Sparrow on there at some point. I think they might have done that recently. But yeah, it's like its own quirky little thing. And then like in the movie, they have the scene where the dog has the keys and they're trying to get the keys to them. And
Oh.
it happens in the ride. And they try to do the same thing with Tomorrowland with that movie, but it didn't do so well. I don't know why I looked at the camera for that.
It didn't do well.
It didn't do so well.
You don't want to know what happened.
But
I guess for video games, we'll stay on that because that's what most of us know. The game I love the most, I have a lot of fond memories of the Sid Meier's one, but Black Flag
Assassin's Creed?
yeah.
with Black Flag?
honestly hit, like for an Assassin's Creed game that was just doing the setting as like a thing, they really nailed it. For like the combat was like really cool, where like you had different types of cannons in different parts of the ship. So if you fired forward, that was your chain shot, but your side was your normal cannons. And I think the back you can throw. If you looked back, you can throw your barrels, and then you had the swivel guns on the side that you can like aim specifically at like parts of a boat. And it was just really solid. You can upgrade different parts. If you can hold the fire, and you would fire like your top deck, but if you auto fire, like you just fire it randomly, all like decks fire and it's like way more damage.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like ship combat was cool. They even had boss ships that I couldn't even defeat.
Yeah, it seems like because that would be really that just the Assassin's Creed genre, or not genre, but series seems like a good match for a pirate game. You know,
Exploring.
just kind of the gameplay and the exploration and stuff like that.
The one thing that like always is always weird is you want to make them relatable and nice when realistic. I mean, you can have this with bandits too, but like you want to make them nice, but realistically, most of them weren't.
Oh yeah, like because you want the people to like sympathize with your main characters or your main cast, but ultimately they're all just a bunch of scumbags that are.
They are just stealing from people and killing guards.
Like, that's just their job.
Yeah, that's just their job.
Yeah.
Either which honestly, realistically, they wouldn't even be fighting most like our army ships. You wouldn't think
I
they
think
probably wouldn't.
GCP Grey made a video recently about how like it was just about like pirates and branding and quartermastering, but it was talking about how like most pirate battles, well, they would try to avoid battle at all costs because it's really costly for pirates to do any of the crime stuff. So they relied on overwhelming brutality to basically make it like, yeah, you can fight us and you might win, But if you win, most of you will die in pretty horrific ways, and if you lose, all of you will die in the most horrific ways.
So just like that, I mean that's fair because I mean like you take like one cannon shot like or something
Yeah.
to the bottom of your ship, like that must be a pain in the
Like
ass.
it's a pain in the ass in a video game where you just have to left click on the thing, but like in real life, that must be like work.
Yeah.
And so yeah, obviously, like if I was a criminal, I'd be like, yeah, don't fight us, because please don't fight us. But or like
So what was that Sid Meier's Pirates game? I know Daniel, you said you played that a
I
lot.
kicked so much ass. Oh, it was great.
I think you have more hours than me, even though I introduced it to you.
Yeah, you played as like pretty much the archetypal like lovable rogue pirate. You were on a quest to recover your family.
I just
right?
realized he was from a noble family too. If now I think about it,
Yeah,
which
he
is
was.
kind of funny because it's like fight the power and all that. But
Yeah, but like he was the entrenched power before. He just happened to get unlucky.
yeah,
So was it like a 4X game or like
No, not really.
Because I'm only thinking of Sid Meier's Civilization. I don't know what
game
it's like.
I can relate it to is Star Sector. If you've ever played that, it's
I have
pretty much
not.
Sid Meier's Pirates in space. But like, there's an overworld function where you visit like different towns and you can see other ships and you can see what they're carrying or like where they're heading. Yeah, and you would enter like this battle phase where it was pretty much like a reaction time thing where you would do a move, but they'd have a move to counter it. Then they would like choreograph their move. It had a whole bunch of like different, what do you call it? Features in it that made the gameplay work. It
So
wasn't
was it like
any
a
one.
turn-based thing?
it was.
or was
It was real time, and basically each feature of the game was like its own mini game.
Pretty
oh,
much, yeah.
okay.
If you were sailing around, it was just like a standard like top down. You would, and if you fought a ship, it would go into like it was still top down, but you would fight them.
Kind of like that real-time thing. Daniel
Yeah.
was saying, yeah.
If you went into if you
Like boarding, you would have like a sword duel, which was its own little mini game. Like you had all sorts of fun strats you could do.
then the one I never did was there was the one where you fought on land and it was like an RT, it was a turn-based.
I did
attack
that
thing.
one all the time, and I kind of loved it.
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out because I was a kid, and then like your people would just run away eventually.
Hide your buccaneers in the woods. There is no step 2. You will win if you do that.
But like it was like each feature of the game was its own kind of thing.
Like that sounds really cool, honestly, because
You could-
like with Pirates, you have all of those different things that you're going to be doing in Pirates. Like the exploration, the combat, the foot combat. So, man, I might actually check that out.
It's really fun. You could, and it's like a sandbox in a way where you're experiencing this guy's pirate career. So you could retire any time, but depending on, you get a little thing of what you guys did for the rest of his life. And like if you did nothing, you just become like a homeless person.
So then, do you just keep making like new runs? Do you kind of like just every time you play, like you create a new?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, kinda
I mean,
character or
it's not
whatever?
like quite a roguelike, but there is definitely replayability because you can just do it different every time.
You can't really die.
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking about how amazing like a roguelite game like that would be or something, or even just like if they had mechanics where, say in one of your runs you went off to some island and did some pirate
That's a good
quest
point.
thing, it would unlock something, in your
would
like,
really
your
see
See
run.
the effect in future.
That too, yeah.
It would really encapsulate like the feel of what being a pirate would be like a lot of high risk, high reward of like go out there, steal shit, but if someone comes after you,
Yeah,
Okay,
you're just dead.
what about something like the Shadow of Mordor, like Nemesis system? What about that in a pirate like game?
Ah, that
be
would be
honest,
sick.
that feature you could put it on like almost any like franchise, and I would love. But like, yeah, piracy with like
Because you would have entire crews.
Yeah.
Like you would have entire like specific
Oh, I've always
crews
thought about that.
like say like Sid Meier's,
Odyssey
you
does
kill
that.
a future thing. You
Odyssey
know.
does that with you have a crew of mercenaries, and and there's other like guys out there that are kind of powerful. You can either kill them or you can recruit them on your like crew. And I've always wanted that. I was like, why didn't you do that for Black Flag? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like one of the coolest things about One Piece, which
Yeah, you should probably like just talk about One
And
Piece
talk
a
about
little
like
bit,
all
'cause-
900 episodes you've watched.
Because Matthew
okay,
has watched.
One Piece is an anime, and
Wrong episode.
But if you heard anything about anime, you would know about One Piece. It's like legit the most popular thing in Japan, at least. Like for them, like it's like their Simpsons or something. Like it's everywhere. They have a grave of one of a character at their version of, I think, Universal Studios Park. They just have like a One Piece thing there.
There's like an officially licensed like meth brand, like a One Piece.
Wait, what?
That was
No.
an escalation.
But it's
This is the speed fruit. You go fast as fuck, but you have to keep eating the fruit. That's the downside.
it's like the most popular Shonen Jump anime there is, and it's set in a fantasy world where there's this guy. He was like a really good pirate apparently back in the day. But as he was about to get executed, some guy in the crowd, I'm pretty sure he gets executed after this, just randomly shouts, "Where did you put the One Piece?" And he says something, and he has all his treasure in this one place, and that's the cue of the show. And this main character is his story of, it just starts with him like leaving his home island, getting one crew at a time, and then sailing to island, going on adventures. And it sounds dumb, but it's honestly one of the best long-running series there is out there.
Every time you describe something in One Piece, like a whole arc or something, I'm like, wow, that sounds sick. This sounds like a great show. And then I look and it's like 20 episodes for that one arc.
Yeah, I think that me and Matthew made a deal at one point where it was like he was gonna watch, I think, Evangelion, and I would watch like part of the. I think I was like, I'll watch the first 50 episodes of.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, because I think we did that before we
Yeah.
watched Evangelion. And like the problem with it is I love literally everything about it. I love the world, I
It's
love
not
the
necessarily
characters,
length, it's the-
but the pacing. The pacing is literally like the worst pacing I have ever seen
It's-
out of an anime.
At this point, I don't think I'm gonna watch it anytime soon, and I don't know if I never watched it at this point in my life, if I would watch it right now, just because I probably would just find something better to do. It feels like it's wasting your time, and that's like one of the worst feelings when watching something.
And just think about that. You've watched that entire thing 2 times, haven't you?
Well, I never watched post time skip because I don't want to. I'm trying to watch with Corey right now, but that kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's to the point where it's totally understandable if no one wants to watch it because it's ridiculously pointlessly long, and I low key don't like Toei for how they treat it.
Yeah.
Just like they're not gonna get rid of it, but
Because it's like super popular, so like why not just drag it out? But I think the one thing that kind of to tie it back to what we were talking about earlier is I think one of the coolest parts about One Piece, besides like the cast and the unique members of the crew and stuff that you can have, is it's like this whole exploration thing. So you're going from island to island to island, and like it's just adventure. It's just
Yeah,
like
like you're learning stuff while the character's learning stuff. So for you, it's like exploration of a new
Yeah.
world.
it's like if like it's like the style of the Mario worlds, each one having their own feel, their own little characters, kind of like Super Mario Odyssey, but like each one had legit world building, where like you knew about, after you left that island, you know how that island worked. You know about the, it was ran by a guy who thinks he's a god, but he's not a god, he just has lightning powers. And their version of God, and their society of that version of that god, is just like a person rather than like an actual. But they worship him like a god. It's like a god king. But this recent one actually thinks he's a god because of how OP he is with his thing.
oh, that's funny.
And yeah, he literally lives higher than everyone else, and he lives above this. This is in the sky, this area, and they have a piece of it that's from a piece of the earth that like flew up into the air, and that's their holy land. And he lives above that.
Dang.
Yeah, and then there's like there were people that were on that piece of island that flew up, and they look like Native Americans, but they were kicked off by the people that were already in the sky. They're like, we want this place, and then so now the whole time they're trying to fight for that part of the land, while like this guy is not a dictator, and yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, so it's just like every island they go to, it's like a whole. It's not just like, oh, let's go see what's on this island. It's like there's whole plots and stuff.
Going back to talking about morality and stuff, is I really like the way Oda, the main character of One Piece, handles it, where even though the main character and his crew are good guys, and there are good pirates, you are very much, he shows you the people's point of view of pirates, and it's completely justified still. 99% of the pirates in that world are terrible, and they're there to steal people's stuff, and like, I don't necessarily blame most Marines for choosing the Marine side, even though, like, as you watch the show and you realize there's also, like, this other faction that's run by Marines. even though how terrible they are, I still don't blame most Marines for still choosing that over piracy.
Yeah, you want to know what I just thought of as you were saying that? I think that's why a lot of pirate movies and video games and stuff like that, they incorporate the whole like stereotypical like skeleton army or skeleton crew, because it allows the pirates to be more like of the good guys of the story.
Right. If you're fighting like undead hordes, it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to be like, oh, they're not like pillaging an innocent village. They seem pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, versus, because it's just normally like, because I guess in those, is it implied that the skeletons are like skeletons of old pirates, or are they just like where do those skeletons come from?
Well, the stereotypical version, I don't know where that's from. My guess is the biggest idea I have of undead pirates is Pirates of the Caribbean, which, by the way, I don't know about any of their movies, but the first one is decent, and the one thing reason I call it decent is that one scene where the villain reveals he's a skeleton is one of the coolest scenes I've seen. Where like it's like when you're in the moonlight, they look like skeletons. So like the woman on the ship that's being captive is seeing all these like random undead people, and then you see the captain like be like, "You best believe in ghost stories. You're in one," and as he's walking out, he becomes like a skeleton. It's so fucking cool.
Pirates of the Caribbean was just a quality movie franchise. I honestly think that kickstarted a lot of the interest in pirates.
Oh yeah, for sure. Have you seen more than just the first one? Because I've only seen the first one.
I've seen the first one like all the way through, and the other ones I only remember in like sporadic fragments.
Yeah,
'Cause,
aren't
like,
they
there's been
making a
so
new
long.
one? I think they're making like a whole new one, aren't they?
They
Or-
might be, but you might be thinking about the older one that came out. That came out a while
The
ago.
old new one?
I don't know. I thought or maybe it was one of those like the Onion websites where it was like they're making a new one and Johnny Depp's like carrying the whole franchise on his back. I don't know.
Because
it does seem like
he
it's
just kind of
just
rolls
him.
up and he's like, he
But like
does
he's
his
such
thing.
a good actor. Like he does literally just kind of like I don't know. I
seen
like
the
him as an
newest one.
actor,
I like him as an actor,
but
but I mean, that makes me sound like I'm going to complain about him, even though I feel like because of events. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole other
well,
thing.
yeah, no, I mean, but like to get political for a second, wasn't it like there was like someone like accused him, his like ex-wife accused him, but then like
Of
he had all of
abuse.
the and then
but
he had all
legit
this
had
evidence.
audio and calling of her verbally abusing him and like talking about how she doesn't want to hit him, but blah 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 blah.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where like there was outrage culture, everybody was like cancel Johnny Depp, and then it turned out he had all this evidence. It was like an Uno reverse card, and was like no you, but it was like he actually had the evidence, so now we're allowed to like Johnny Depp again. So
I'm glad that we're allowed
Now we're
to.
allowed to like.
according to Twitter,
Thank you, oh Twitter God.
thank you Twitter. But man, the only other pirate thing I can think of is, and I don't want to talk about Wizard 101 too much because in the future we're gonna have a whole MMO podcast.
Wizard 101 kicked so much ass, it needs its
This is
own
a pirate
episode.
podcast. We got to talk about the other one.
Yes, but they made something called Pirates 101, and whereas Wizards 101, the combat was like this deck building card fighter thing, Pirates 101, it was chess. It was like, we're gonna take it, but then the gameplay was just like chess. And I don't know too much about the game because all I remember is, I think it was in middle school, and we all were super into Wizard 101, and we saw Pirates 101 came out. We all tried it for about an hour and a half, and we're like, nope, uninstall, go back to Wizard 101. Did either of you play more than like 30 minutes of that game?
Nah.
So yeah, I guess we can't talk about.
Why do you bring it up?
Well, this is Pirates, but what I think is funny is I think that game did fail because Wizard 101 is still being developed right now. Probably they're not
guessing
getting
it
as
did
many
fail.
updates.
Do you
but
remember
Pirates
the
101
Selena
is not
Gomez
getting
world
updated.
event in Wizard 101?
I do not remember
There
that.
was a Selena Gomez world event with her own area, and there's just a character model of Selena Gomez, and they don't even justify her being in the world of Wizard 101 where there's like magic and shit. She's just there. And, out of context, it's one of my favorite parts of that.
Well, wasn't
franchise.
Selena Gomez? Didn't she play as? Wait, is she the
the
actor that was
wizard?
in Wizards of Waverly
They could
Place?
just had her roll it. Okay, this is
All right, it
That's
may have
what it
been a
was.
Wizards
But
of Waverly Place.
That's a teaser for.
No, she sang in it.
She's. Oh, okay. Well, then it was.
And then pirates came in, and they beat her up.
That was
and
real.
stole her stuff.
like piratical move, if that's a word. We need to stop getting piratical in this podcast.
Oh, political. Ha ha. I get it.
But back to the movies. I've only seen the first two. No. I've seen the fourth one, which is literally Captain Jack gets captured by another pirate and forced to go on an adventure with them, and that's it. And like
How horrible.
he's like, oh no, and then they're like, we need you to find this map, and then there's like a religious guy that they tie to a pole at some point, and then he falls in love with the mermaid because he's the only one that's nice to the mermaid, even though the mermaids apparently are people that eat
Yeah, that's a whole
sailors.
nother type of pirates. Is there's all those like different like stories of things like mermaids, and then
All those high sea tails.
yeah, exactly, and then like weren't mermaids just? I've heard different things. I think like mermaids were either like people that like they like directed boats to like rocks and like make them like break and sink. I don't know.
There's like 1,000 different stories.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. about,
either
like,
they're
tales.
good people or they're like dicks.
They're always hot though.
They're always except in Sea of Thieves. Except are those mermaids or are
Those are merfolk.
What are those called?
I like those because they're more realistic. They actually look like sea people.
They're pretty. Yeah, they're a little spooky looking. But like what they do in Sea of Thieves is if you get too far away from your ship, they'll come out of the water and they'll like have a light. And if you go up to them and you talk to them, they'll like teleport you
Very nice
directly onto your boat.
they're like the opposite of what most mermaids try to do.
I going back to Sea of Thieves just because this made me think of it. One of the scariest moments, I think it was a bug in Sea of Thieves, was me and Caitlin were trying to attack this other ship. And as we were attacking a ship, a skeleton crew started attacking us and a kraken started attacking us. So eventually our ship gets sunk. And so the ship gets sunk and I go into a loading screen, which I'm assuming is either going to bring me to like the dead, Flying Dutchman equivalent of, I guess it's a whole other thing, SpongeBob Flying Dutchman. But it like then loads me back in directly in the water, and I just have the like mermaid's face directly in my face, and I see a kraken start attacking me in the background, and then I instantly like get teleported. I don't know, but they're pretty spooky
Sounds
looking.
really scary.
Yeah, especially I don't know why, but I've talked about this before on like my YouTube channel and on the horror thing. But I'm like scared of swimming in 3D video games. Don't know why I'm not scared of swimming in
Are you-
real life.
Still scared of that?
Yeah, I mean like a decent amount, and like I'm kind of desensitizing myself a little bit with Sea of Thieves because there is a lot of swimming and there's sharks in that thing and it's pretty spooky. But I'm
Those
like
sharks, you know,
forcing
fuck
myself to
themselves.
do it.
There have been several times where I beat the megalodon without dying, and I'll go into its corpse, and then two sharks come and kill me. I'm like,
You can handle the megalodon, but not sharks. That's So are there ever? Isn't there like that place in real life, like something the triangle?
Bermuda
The
Triangle?
Bermuda Triangle.
There is only like every other episode of every kids show that talked about it. The Bermuda Triangle is a real problem, and we should be doing something about it. I propose we nuke the Bermuda Triangle.
So what is it? Is it real? Is it literally just like this, like part of the ocean that a
Well,
lot of storms happen? Or
there's no I don't think there's any scientific basis behind it being weird. People just claim that a lot of things sank in it or disappeared, and it probably bullshit.
I figured it was like it had something to do with like if it was scientifically real, it would be something where it's like the converging point of
Like a magnetic
of a bunch of
pole
different
or whatever.
yeah, and like oceans and stuff.
Well, I think he was just talking about like weather stuff, or like, are you talking about climate stuff, or are you talking about like there could be?
Well, either like 3 different oceans come together at one triangle, or
Well, it would be the
or like the weather
If
of
anything, it
it
would be the
creates a bunch of
Caribbean and
storms
the
and stuff.
Atlantic. There's
I don't know,
that.
but I'm sure that'd be a pretty cool pirate like concept of like they get a treasure map and it's like directly in like the Bermuda Triangle, and they have to go in there.
Go back to One Piece, because One Piece actually they have the Florian Triangle.
Ooh.
And it's a spooky place. They do that really well, where they have a whole arc in there where like apparently the twist was, the reason why the ships are disappearing because of this one pirate guy. But at the very end of it, after everything's done, the camera pans out and the narrator goes like, ships have been disappearing here for hundreds of years, but way before Moria showed up. And I'm like, what? And then like it just shows like 3 giant like silhouettes in the ocean, like with eyes glowing.
Oh, of
And
like
that's
kind of
the-
like
the
sea
arc.
monsters and stuff like that.
They look humanoid,
Oh,
or kind of.
Spooky.
We haven't heard from them again because they left that area. But it's a standard. Scooby-Doo does this all the time, and it pisses me off. Where it'd be like they spent the whole time figuring out what the monster was, and at the very end, the monster is still around. It's like, okay. But that one did it well. Go back to One Piece. One Piece does the whole Bermuda Triangle even better, though, by having there's a whole stretch of the sea that circles around the globe called the Grand Line, and it's just weird shit happens in it. It's like your raid area in a video game. It's like you can fuck around in these 4 other seas if you want, but when the real shit happens is in this area. That's where all the I think there's more devil fruits, which are the way you get powers in that show, and like the Marines there are more powerful. And then you get to the second half of it, which is like on the other half of the world, and that's when like all like the big pirates are, and like the further you go down, the more dangerous it gets, and they in the show display that perfectly by having like one of the arcs in the first area. They're not even in the Grand Line yet, but there's an evil pirate crew that shows up. They had like 500 ships with 1,000 sailor like guys, and then they got wrecked by one guy when they first go. You watched it,
Yeah, that rings a bell.
and like that's the point. Is like it really shows how bad the Grand Line is. It's just because one guy from the Grand Line was just they happened upon.
Yeah.
Which to be fair, that guy was they just got really unlucky with that guy. That guy was just like.
Isn't there a character in One Piece where like his aura is so powerful you just get knocked out if you stand next to him?
There's a couple people that do that, but the one we were first introduced to when I first was like, yeah, there's a guy that like you can just at will like people around. If you don't have enough willpower, which is if you're strong enough, you just fall over. It's really cool.
Like get knocked out.
It seems dumb, but when later on when they actually do like they use art to display it like pumping out of a person, it's really cool. It's like a battle of will.
That's pretty cool. I'm trying to think. I can't think of. Are there any other like pirate, like movies or video
talk about
games or
One Piece if
anything?
you want, because that's my biggest thing.
As far as pirates go, let's see, we got Sea of Thieves, already talked about that. Sid Meier's Pirates, one of the best games ever made.
Treasure Planet. Have you ever seen Treasure Planet?
Oh
think
yeah,
I
Space
have.
Pirates.
Dang it.
I've seen like a YouTube review of it that was longer than the movie itself, so I really should have just watched the movie itself.
What?
Yeah, people will make videos dissecting movies that are just longer than the movies.
AKA your average Star Wars YouTuber.
Yeah.
But
Why?
What was Treasure Planet?
it was a Disney movie. This is why it did bad. No one knows about it. But it was based on the Treasure Island, but it was in space. And like everyone had like it was like their standard sailboats, but they were flying through space. And like it had a really cool story where like this guy befriends like the chef of the crew, but then like they're going on it's a normal adventure, like a normal like boat. But then that guy turns out to be working with a bunch of pirates, and they take over the boat to go to this treasure planet. But then like he's not really a bad guy. He's just trying to get it for himself, and then they have this dynamic where he's trying to stop them, and he's trying not to be stopped. But he doesn't want to kill the main character. It's cool.
I don't know why, but I just thought of like, this is like totally like I feel like I'm like high because like this is like a high person idea, but like, so you said it was like in space, right? Of like they were flying normal ships, but it was space. So what if it like there were all the different like planets in the solar system, but there was just like a single like ocean like connecting all of the islands, and so like how travel happened is like you would you would be on that one line of water.
I
them.
played like games. This is a little bit off tangent from piracy, but I think it goes along the line of what you're saying. Games where it's like the travel, even in like space travel, has to like follow a certain path.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool because when you use limits like that, you know, you can tell a better story. There's this game called Ring Runner where basically the idea is the whole universe is spinning and you can anchor yourself in one point. So relative to the movement of the universe, you stop. And there are like areas of space that are carved out and they don't have any matter in them. So you can just set up in that like ring of space, anchor down, and the universe will spin around you. And then you release that when you're at your destination. They have like,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, they have space bandits, which I'd argue are basically space pirates.
Cool.
And like,
a space bandit is just a pirate.
yeah, a sea bandit is just a pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a whole nother part of like pirates is like the, you know, space pirate aspect of them, which I guess like Cowboy Bebop a little bit. does that a tiny bit, but that's kind of like going more into like
Bounty hunting. They're
bounty hunting
hunters.
and stuff like that versus like pirate.
Like,
What would they-
what about John's campaign? We can talk about like tabletop RPGs with pirates.
That's people. I think people don't realize. I've realized this when thinking of a pirate campaign is it really works in like a D&D setting, because you already have a party that you have to travel around with. So
there's
that's a
your
good way
crew.
to do a crew.
Yeah.
So and you can give them something to do. And
When you're a pirate party, you can murder hobo without guilt.
well, yeah, there's always normal piracy, but like what people always feel useless if they fight a lot, which is fair. Both One Piece and D&D does solve this by your crew can be useful without fighting. They can be a good navigator. They can show you where to go, or they can craft boats. They can fix the boat.
They can be a good like cook. Like
Yeah.
that one guy. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a whole D&D campaign where we basically, is that D&D or Pathfinder?
That was D&D.
We had
That's
a
what the
D&D
mission.
campaign based around pirates, and we had a whole arc in Matthew's Pathfinder campaign about pirates. Like pirates and D&D just merge.
Yeah, perfectly.
The total freedom of D&D really lends itself to what makes pirates fun.
And like that exploration aspect, I'm assuming of like going from.
And I try to my biggest inspiration is One Piece, so I do a lot of that for those campaigns where you get a crew together, but rather than just a guy that's good at shooting, a guy that's good with like a guy that's good with navigation, you could have a whole cast of characters be there like in one crew together, and it's cool like that.
yeah.
Matthew, do you remember there was the whole space pirate sea bandit thing made me think of this. There was a guy in Matthew's Pathfinder campaign who rode a wagon with a sail on it, and he called himself like a land pirate. It was in the first session about a year ago.
Oh my god, did I do that?
He doesn't come back. I'm rioting. I'm getting the group together and we're rioting.
I'm pretty sure you guys just turned him in.
No, we didn't even meet him. We heard about him. You dropped like, oh yeah, there's just this guy calling himself like the land pirate or something.
I'm pretty no. That might have been the same guy that he did an ambush with a bunch of like ogres and goblins.
No,
and
no, that was a different guy. Because we like saw him once and he was like unhinged, pretty much.
Huh.
What I'm saying is you need to bring him back.
I gotta do. Maybe
little bit off
maybe I haven't
topic.
already.
And that's like one cool thing about D&D is it's like some things that you probably just like said one sentence and forgot about completely.
I love
All
that.
of these people are like, when the fuck is this guy coming back? You need to bring him back, and they've been thinking about it the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
There's several points they hold me on that so many times. Like Savannah now bitches about this book I made up where, okay, this is getting off topic, but like I said that there is canonically a book on your continent, like where you're from. She's from a different area, and this kind of goes into Pirates a little bit, but it was just terribly written. Like it's written like a early 17th explorer would century would like
Like
describe a
how
continent.
Marco Polo described China.
Yeah, yeah, and like she hates that book now, and like I'm probably going to introduce like the author.
Yes.
Like show where it came from. So I guess kind of wrapping up, I've talked about all the good old pirate things that I've wanted to talk about. Is there any other like specific things you guys want to talk about before we call it a day?
So about One Piece, right? No, I don't have anything.
I guess I could talk about One Piece because I can do a whole episode on One Piece.
Yeah, tell us like the number one, like your favorite little like pirate story from like One Piece, I guess, to like wrap us off. Or like just one of your favorites.
Pirate story. I'm trying to think of a good pirate story.
Or just like, I mean, the whole thing's about pirates. So just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
your
yeah.
favorite, like,
Story. So, the Battle of Marineford is the reason you should at least get to that point in One Piece, in my opinion. It's like the what Endgame did for the MCU. It's what like Oda did it with his own story, where there is a battle and they hype you up for it by, like, you're thinking pirates in this world are still subservient to like the main Marine force. Like if the Marines really wanted to take out this guy, they could. But then the way they show you that there's these 4 types of pirates called emperors, like of the sea, and apparently you don't fuck with them. And the way they hype you up for that is you show them. They don't show you his side of this battle at first in the beginning. They only show you the Marine side of them preparing because they have to execute like a guy from this guy's crew, and they are scared. The top level are terrified. They do not. They're like, they got, I think, 100,000 Marine soldiers there with like a bunch of their like top brasses there. All three of the admirals are there. All the vice
Just
admirals
to
are there.
execute one of them.
It's to execute one of their crew. They're all there because they know he's going to come for them. This one, they know about this one pirate.
Oh my
He always
gosh.
comes for his crew, and like they have a line where it's like, "Yeah, we don't know where he went." It's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Yeah, the 5 ships that were following him, they're just gone." And you're like, "What? Like, how can you lose track of 5 ships with this guy?" And then like they blockade their own like sea, like, you know, miles away. They're like, we don't know, we can see them. We blocked it off. They're in a part of the sea that's always swirling, so no one can get in somehow. And they're just waiting. And you see this Marine guy go, "Wait, I see sails." And you see 24 just like ships come in, and they're like, they're allies of the Whitebeard. It's like, where's Whitebeard? And you see his boat come out of the fucking ocean with 3 other ships, like in the bay. They fucking had like a device help them go into like a bubble, in the air bubble, and they fucking went out, and all their crews are just on the bay with them now. And like, it's one of the best intros. And then, yeah.
And then it's like, see, that's exactly what Daniel was saying. It's like every time you hear anything about
Yeah,
One Piece,
you
it
want to
sounds
watch
so
it.
amazing. And then you watch it, and that whole arc probably took like 3,000 episodes.
But that one was
Just-
good. That one was like, at least it was a battle, so they could entertain you by just showing like,
Fight after fight after
yeah,
fight.
fight. That's like the one thing. But yeah, no,
Dang,
It-
that sounds super
it's
awesome.
a travesty. One Piece
So I guess like I know that's what you've always told me is like reading One Piece is do they ever go back and colorize the
Yes, there is
Damn.
a good 85 to 90% of it is colorized right now.
Okay.
Up until like the arc before the one that's coming out right
and then
now.
they just slowly, you know.
Yeah, they slowly come them out.
Because yeah, so I guess that would be the recommendation for if you want good old pirate, you know, anime stuff. Is don't watch the show, just read the.
Yeah, please. Honestly,
Read the manga.
From a guy who watched it and suffered through. If you're watched like Naruto and Bleach or all those other shows, you could probably get through it pretty easily. Or like, okay, if you.
But if you're a
pace yourself.
normal person,
Yeah. If you're not a freak
If
like
you don't
me.
have the attention span of a literal god.
that's fair. So, well, I guess thank you guys so much for watching our pirate episode. I hope you're not pirating this. I don't know how they'd be pirated.
Why would you pirate it?
Yeah,
It's
if you're-
free. What the fuck is wrong
Yeah,
with you?
dude, why are you pirating this?
Why are you pirating a 25 subscriber thing?
That's free. but yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. We got a bunch of awesome episodes planned for you in the future. And also, if we missed your favorite like pirate book or anime or TV show or movie,
Too bad.
Too
I know about Treasure Island if you mentioned that. That's like the old movie. But that was the old.
Mention it if we missed it.
Yeah, in the comments on YouTube. If you're listening to it, go on YouTube. There you have a voice. But okay, bye.
Bye.
Arg.